Welcome to the Brain Alpha. Today, we're diving deep into an explainer about a cycle that, let's be honest, almost all of us have experienced at some point. We're talking about why we so often quit our new habits, our diets, or those side hustles we start with such incredibly high hopes. But more importantly, we're going to map out exactly how you can finally break that frustrating cycle for good. Okay, so let's dive right into this. Think about the very last time you tried to learn a new language, hit a weight loss goal, or maybe start an online business. You probably started out super strong, right? But eventually, you hit a wall and gave up. Well, I want to completely validate those past failures right now. Society loves to tell us that quitting just means we're lazy or we lack willpower. But honestly, that is completely wrong. Failure isn't a lack of willpower. It's simply a blindness to the process of growth. You didn't lack effort. You just couldn't see what was coming on the road ahead. Here is the roadmap for this explainer. 1. The real reason we fail. 2. The 6 phases of achievement. 3. The valley of despair. 4. Breaking through to success. And 5. The dopamine action hack. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the real reason we fail. The core message here is absolutely crucial. It's not a lack of talent. Society has kind of falsely programmed us to believe that when we quit, it just means we didn't try hard enough. But the truth is much more systematic. Most people fail simply because they don't know the universal, highly predictable sequence of changes that the human mind goes through when attempting something new. I mean, if you don't know the exact roadmap of growth, every single unexpected bump in the road just feels like a dead end. To really understand this roadmap, we're turning to the insights of Alex Hormozi. Now, he's a highly successful 32-year-old entrepreneur who literally built a massive business empire from scratch. He started a gym at 23, expanded it, and eventually licensed his business model to over 5,000 gyms worldwide. Today, he manages a portfolio of companies generating massive revenue, giving him an estimated net worth of 150 billion yen. To put that into perspective, that's roughly $1 billion US. He identified a proven psychological framework that every single person goes through when starting a new endeavor, and that exact framework is going to be the backbone of our explainer today. So let's look at section 2, the 6 phases of achievement. Hormozi uses this core framework to map out the journey of literally any new challenge. Whether you're starting a multi-million-dollar business or just, trying to get into shape for the summer, you are going to pass through these exact steps. Phase 1, unfounded hope. Phase 2, informed pessimism. Phase 3, the valley of despair. Phase 4, failure. Phase 5, founded hope. And Phase 6, achievement. Let's break down exactly what happens in these stages, because every single successful person has walked this exact path. So, in Phase 1, unfounded hope, you're fueled purely by excitement. You see these social media posts promising you can make 10 grand a month with just a laptop, and you jump in headfirst with zero data. But then comes Phase 2, informed pessimism. And wow, this is the painful reality check. Suddenly, you realize the massive amount of hidden work required. If you're doing social media, you suddenly have to learn video editing, graphic design, complex marketing funnels. It's a rapid transition from blind optimism to a crushing, overwhelming reality. Which brings us to section 3, the valley of despair. That overwhelming reality drops you right into the most critical phase of the entire journey. Phase 3 is brutal, guys. Picture this. It's the 3-month mark. You're pouring hours into your project, recording, writing, editing, day after day, but you look at your analytics and you have 0 views, 0 income, and yet you are putting in maximum effort. You're basically working for $0 an hour. There is a massive, painful gap between your initial high hopes and the harsh, empty reality you're staring at. This is where the psychological toll is absolutely heaviest. And here is the ultimate divergence point. 99% of people hit this valley of despair and they drop straight into Phase 4, failure. But here's the kicker. They don't just fail, they rationalize it. They say, oh, I didn't have enough time, or the algorithm just hates me. Then they find a shiny new object, jump right back to unfounded hope, and enter this infinite loop of failure. But the remaining 1%, they grit their teeth, they survive the valley, and they push through to the actual path of success. Moving on to section 4, breaking through to success. So how do we actually become that 1%? We need an escape route to survive the valley of despair instead of just falling into that agonizing failure loop over and over again. The secret here? Focus. Our source material shares a really powerful personal story about this. The narrator failed repeatedly at day trading and blogging. When they finally tried content creation, they did what pretty much everyone does. They tried to post on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube all at the exact same time. The result? Their force was completely dispersed, leading to zero growth and total burnout. But then, they chose radical, single-minded focus. They cut everything else out and focused exclusively on TikTok. That intense focus led to a massive breakthrough, taking them to 100,000 followers and true platform mastery. A real game changer. When you maintain that single-minded focus and finally get that one breakthrough, like that one viral video or that first real client, you enter Phase 5, Founded Hope. And let me tell you, this is absolute euphoria. You now have hard, indisputable data that your efforts are actually working. Your mindset transforms from, I hope I can do this, into, I know I will do this. That blind confidence you started with, it becomes absolute certainty. Section 5, the dopamine action hack. Now, you might be wondering, okay, that's great, but how do I actually force myself to stick with it long enough to get that breakthrough? Well, the dopamine hack is choosing a foundational action that naturally feels good to your brain, rather than forcing an action purely for external rewards like money. Dopamine is a pleasure chemical. It's the neurological trigger that makes you want to keep going. If your brain is producing dopamine while you work, continuing through the hard times doesn't require massive willpower. It just happens naturally. Let's compare extrinsic motivation to intrinsic dopamine. If you pick a side hustle just because some influencer online said it's highly profitable, you're relying entirely on extrinsic motivation. When the money doesn't roll in right away during that valley of despair, you're going to quit because the reward simply isn't there. But if you choose a vehicle that relies on something you naturally love doing, like talking, drawing, or writing, you're fueled by intrinsic dopamine. You'll keep working even when the money isn't there yet, simply because the act itself feels really good to your brain. So what does this all mean for you? Here is some highly actionable advice. First, observe your own behavior. Find what you do without being asked by anyone. What can you do for hours on a weekend without feeling mental pain or exhaustion? You want to prioritize things that feel natural and effortless over things you're simply, quote-unquote, passionate about. Why? Because passion can easily be ruined by the stress of turning it into a business, whereas natural tendencies are literally hardwired into your brain. The key is to link your core action to your natural dopamine triggers before you even start your journey. If you naturally love explaining things, make YouTube videos. If you naturally love organizing thoughts in a text, start a newsletter. You can bypass the extreme pain of the valley of despair by just letting your natural dopamine carry you through. When you combine Hormozi's 6-phase map of achievement with your own natural dopamine actions, you are fully equipped to conquer literally any new challenge. Your inner mindset dictates your outer reality. If you prepare your mind for the phases ahead and align your actions with your brain's natural pleasure centers, external success shifts from being a mere possibility to being an absolute inevitability. And this brings us to a powerful final thought to leave you with today. Success is like an airplane taking off. It requires maximum fuel and effort to lift off the ground. But once you're in the air, you just keep flying up. If you are in the valley of despair right now, recognize it. You're just burning the maximum fuel required for liftoff. Don't quit. Keep pushing, stay incredibly focused, and wait for that moment of founded hope to launch you into the sky. So ask yourself today, what is the one natural dopamine action you can start focusing on right now to survive your own valley of despair? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and help us build the hype. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.